lithium exchange-based zeolite, all their supply is given to a particular vendor in China, which manufactures oxygen concentrators and other devices. So lithium exchange-based supply is mostly given to them. They do have some capacity that they've given to research labs, like some, a team at IIT Kanpur, and also to DRDO, and in partnership with a couple of enterprises. He mentioned Tata's and a couple of others. DRDO is setting up oxygen generation plants, so they've given some capacity to them as well. I told that that the Indian team, the Makers Asylum team, is looking for sodium 13x zeolite, 0.4 to 0.8 millimeter granularity. He said that should be possible, but he will confirm. So I've written an email to him and awaiting response from him. Just wanted to give this early update, and let's see where this goes. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Avinash. I think that's precious at the moment, the zeolite. So we are also trying to find all kinds of ways to get it. So that's a thanks for reaching out for us as well. And hopefully we're able to get more updates on this in the next couple of days. Okay, perfect.
He also mentioned a couple of other suppliers. I'm sending them on chat here.
Sure.
So in case you guys could reach out to them as well. There is a French company and there is a Swiss company.
Got it. Fair.
He did say that sodium, supply for sodium exchange-based zeolite may not be that big an issue from even other suppliers, according to him.
Okay.
But he also mentioned a few disadvantages, which I'm sure you guys know about, that the quantity required may be twice as much for the same output as for a lithium exchange-based zeolite, and also that the machine could be a little bit more bulkier in terms of size and weight compared to if it was made using a lithium exchange-based zeolite.
Yeah, I think we do understand that, but there's also a significant cost difference, I believe. So
yes,
I guess we'll have to balance that out, I guess.
Yeah, it's a 4x, it's a 5x in terms of per kg, but in terms of per liter of oxygen, it could be maybe 2 to 3x advantage, which is still significant for us.
Yeah. Fair. Fair. Thank you so much, Avinash. That's awesome. Anyone else would like to go? Anul, you would like to give an update?
Well, the build progresses. We have still a couple of critical parts that are preventing us from assembling the main important seeds. We have received some zeolite today, but I believe it's the incorrect kind, but we're still going to try out using that nonetheless, so that we can validate if our system works or not, regardless of the output percentage. Besides that, the rest of the wiring and assembly is all work in progress. There's still lots of material that is coming in from various places that we are waiting for. Maher's oxykit shipment from the US has just left today, so it's going to take quite a while for it to get to us. There's a shipment coming in from Pune, shipment coming in from Bombay, and so on. So we're kind of at this point just kind of waiting for stuff to arrive. We have received the aluminum extrusions that we need to make an aluminum frame. So maybe tomorrow, if we don't get the other parts, we will kind of spend time in mocking that up and maybe post some updates on that, I guess. But at this point, I think more of waiting for the final little bits to arrive so we can actually complete the rest of the assembly. Unfortunately, we can't unless we have every piece that is required to build it up.
All right, thanks, Anul. Arjun, you want to go next?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Anul regarding the extrusions. What dimensions are these extrusions, and like, do you have an estimate of how much length is required per piece?
I think. Okay, there's been so much going on in my mind that I'm now confused which one I designed it for, but I think it is either 20 by 40 or 30 by 30. I'm not sure if Vijay is around, but he's the one who eventually ordered it for us, so he'll have. But it's one of these two sizes. Both are pretty regular. To one frame requires just a little short of 2 meters of aluminum. And some of the accessories like right angle fasteners and stuff. It's not a lot really. It's pretty simple, but it replicates the wooden frame that we currently have, with the advantage that you can, move some of the elements around. So to adjust if stuff. And I think by tomorrow we can probably give a better, look at it. We can post pictures and answer any questions by tomorrow night, hopefully, on this. And cost-wise, I don't think it is a lot in terms of the overall cost of the system. So it should be quite manageable to even use this, because one, it's easy to get, it's easy to assemble. Putting this together should be very quick compared to a wooden frame. So lots of advantages using this.
Wait a second. Yeah, so exactly. If you have any CAD files regarding a frame that you've made, like, you can just send them over.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this has been a side project between me and my friends in the US. We are working on a new software called LX, which is a program to create aluminum extrusion designs. So, but yeah, I can share the bill of materials and maybe some images. If you are interested in the nitty-gritty, I can get you up to speed on how to use LX and stuff like that. But we can take it separately. If you ping me on Telegram or something, you will need some.
Sure. I'll follow up with you on that.
Yeah, you'll just need some probably exposure to OpenSCAD if you ever use that.
Okay.
Perfect. So I've got Priyank. You want to go next?
Yeah. Hi. Quick update from Gujarat.
Priyank, can I interject just quickly?
Yeah.
Before you go ahead. Regarding the previous topic on sourcing, I think yesterday I posted in the sourcing group a source for a company in Russia that makes the molecular seeds that we need. In fact, they have a big range. They have about 3 or 4 different kinds of 13X itself. Plus they have the 5A as well. So if someone in sourcing can just follow it up, I think it'll be nice if you can get hold of that.
Okay, yeah.
Can I go? Yeah,
Yeah,
can I go?
Yeah, go.
Quick update from my side. We are making Oxycad at 2 places in Gujarat. One is Rajkot and Ahmedabad. Today we have almost procured 90% of it, pending zeolite. I just wanted to make sure that I have all the parts. I had made the bill of material for the genetics, and I got all the parts of pneumatics from genetics. They were pretty helpful, and that way it can be easier for someone who is starting new. So I'll make that and share it with the group. One thing that is still open for questioning that I had shared with Anup also, that I'm not able to find some PVC parts. So today I have tried to do it with a 3-inch RO filter membrane. That is 3 inches. So that is the same width which is asked in the Oxycad. But only thing is it's just 10 inch long. And that is, someone can give me some insight, or someone has an idea that if it is 3 inches and 20 inches long, just can we divide the time in half and it will work or not? That is just some question because that will make life very easy for all of us, and maybe we can go ahead in a faster way.
Noel, I think, has an answer.
Yeah, I mean, this of course is based on some amount of logical thinking. So don't take it at face value. But the way I see it is, if you take 2 of the 10-inch sieves and connect them in parallel, you will pretty much be able to attain the results, I'm guessing. But someone who has more experience with PSA systems might be able to answer that. I think based on how we do things in electronics and other pneumatics and stuff like that, both in parallel.
So only one thing that is making means maybe the outlet, that is, it's a 1x4 outlet.
No, I mean, basically I just consider the 2 sieves as a common sieve. I mean, you just use a a T connector and join them both at the input and join them both at the output.
Okay.
So the overall system actually looks at it as if it's one single sieve, but it consists of two smaller independent ones.
Okay. Perfect.
But again, like I said, check it around. I am not really an expert on this, but this is what logic tells me should work.
No, I have all the RO filters at my, so I can just tell them to bring 2 of them and try it with that. It is a good idea and it is very cheap and easily done. That's why.
Yeah, in fact, we are also exploring the RO route, and we also have some of those en route in shipping right now. I think a lot of our stuff is still stuck somewhere in shipping. So we have ordered some of these RO candles. I think thankfully we have managed to find 20-inch long ones, but they are at 4.5, I think 4 inches. But that's okay. It'll just mean that we will have to fine tune the timings a little bit.
Yeah, I also found that today. It's 20 inches, but they are 4 inch broad. I just found them. But so they are used in 100 liters per our RO filters. I have 2 of them in my workshop, but I was not sure that this way there will be a lot of discrepancies in timing, because there will be a lot of volume, huge volume change. That's why I just stuck to maybe it's half or 1/4 or same.
I agree. You know, I mean, if you're worried about volume and the timing part, what you can start off with is, making sure the amount of zeolite you have in the RO candle is approximately the same as what we would use in a 3-inch by 17-inch sieve as used in the original oxykit. So I guess as long as the quantity remains the same, I'm not sure again, but I think it is immaterial what the diameter and the height is.
Okay.
So you probably just fill up the rest of it with, packing in terms of, you can even put maybe some desiccant in it or, something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe some additional filters.
And one quick update. This isn't something in electronics, but yeah, I just tell in the group that we were able to solve the 24 DC SSR 4 relay, and if it's from Baroda, and we'll be getting it by weekend. So if we are not planning to make one, we can order it from there. It's a ready-made 24-volt DC SSR 4-way relay.
Yeah, that's perfect. In fact, the advantage with those is that you can drive them directly from the Arduino.
Yeah. So if you don't want to make it, we can just sources from Baroda. It can be done.
It's an off-the-shelf item. There are many companies that make it. There's one called Electronic Relays in Bangalore, which does a pretty good job. But
there are no SSRs. They are not solid-state relays. I'm not able to find that one.
Oh, ERI makes only SSRs. I mean, I can send you a link later on. Just remind me.
Yeah, thanks. That will be all
for a pretty long time. The only thing I wanted to point out here is that, when you use electromechanical relays, those cannot be driven directly by an Arduino. So you have to have a relay board which has some kind of a transistor or a MOSFET on it to drive the relay. So compared to that, an SSR is kind of safer because it's electronic. So there are no moving parts and easier to wire up and stuff like that.
So we ordered one today. We were working on the simpler ones, but there was a lot of switching delay. So as mentioned in the electronic group, we switched to SSRs and they'll be coming in by weekend. So I suppose if I have a zeolite by next weekend, I will be able to function the oxykit by next weekend.
Awesome. Good luck on that. Keep us posted how it progresses.
Thanks.
Sure.
That's awesome. Priyank, also, are you registered as a lab? I'm guessing, hopefully, right? So
I'm registered as a lab. I have 2 labs in Gandhinagar and Rajkot.
Okay,
so
awesome.
I'm communicating with 2 of them.
All right. So great. Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great. Praveen, you want to go next?
Yeah. So right now, I think there's also 2 requirements. One is of the oxygen analyzer and one is of the oxygen flow meter.
Right.
The oxygen flow meter right now, I think it's almost gone into everyone is stocked out. I have one vendor, he's saying for a sample is gonna be like $5,000. Ideally, it shouldn't cost more than like 1,000 or 1,500. And a lot of them are actually saying 70% upfront payment, and then they will supply like 200 or 300 pieces. And most of them are actually not going to be able to supply. So I feel like any oxygen flow meter decision perhaps is going to come with a risk. So we should still get a sample, and I think that's what I feel like, because a lot of people out there are actually just taking advance and promising 2 weeks delivery, but it might not happen in 2 weeks. No one is making them that fast as well. Now, I think me and Vijay, I'll reach out to Vijay tomorrow. He has a bunch of CO2 sensors, and he said that we can figure out something with just the humidifier bottles. So even those are hard to get. They should, the bottle should be like for 500, 600 bucks. But so just an update right now, the oxygen flow meter is almost like super expensive. Like I'm not even sure if it's worth buying something for 5,000.
No, that's because I think primarily what's happening, and somebody's also asking on the chat as to why are we searching for this. So this is a separate track. So what is happening on ground is that a lot of oxygen cylinders have been sent to the hospital, but they don't have a flow meter. So you're not able to actually give oxygen to the patients because you don't have a flow meter to check what level of oxygen is going to them. So it's a serious problem because a lot of industrial oxygen cylinders have been sent without flow meters. So they can't be used basically. So it's oxygen line there, but can't be used.
So in our application, maybe a question for Anul, at what stage do we use the oxygen flow meter?
Well, it's right at the output just before it goes to the patient. So at that end, there are basically a couple of things that are essential. Number one is a HEPA filter so that we don't pass on any particulate matter out to the patient. Second is a flow meter so we can check how much is the oxygen been given to the patient.
Okay.
And third is the humidifier so that we ensure that the patient gets humid oxygen, because dry oxygen can damage the lungs. So these three are absolutely essential. Now, quite often the hospital will have that at the last mile delivery to the patient's bed. But in the scenario in which we are planning to suggest application or usage of our oxygen concentrators, that option may not be available. So we will have to provide this with the device.
Yeah, that's what even Vijay was saying, that you might be able to find it in the hospital at the.
Right.
But sorry to interrupt. I have just one thing. I made a jugaad that we can use the RO. One sec. I have a pet. So we can use the RO LPH meter, and we can use a pneumatic valve in that. I have tried that, and it's working perfectly fine. But just I need a conversion from LPH in water to LPM in air. That schematic is working perfectly fine. I just have to do that. I'm working on that. So we can use that. That is easily available.
Yeah, that might, if it works, it might just be better, because right now, given the market, it's perhaps like what Richa said, that might be the scenario. We might not be having oxygen flow meters.
Yeah, try it out. Sorry, one thing was, Richa, please check up if we are getting any leads from Naomi in China for this supply.
I'm trying.
The other is for converting, let's say, liters per hour of water, which is pretty dense compared to air at liters per minute. The conversion would be such a large number that I'm not sure what the meter will display. I'm not sure if it's a digital indicator or something analog, but I think the ratio is too large to
it's same as a oxygen. It's a rotameter. What we are using is it's an oxygen rotameter, and liquid means when there is a RO also, it's a rotameter. I tried it with it, and I took a 0 to 500 liter per hour water rotameter, and maybe I will try it in my oxygen cylinder. I have oxygen cylinder at my place. I place it in that, and I have a air filter, air flow meter as well, and water flow meter as well, and I will compare it with them, and I will just plot the graph.
Perfect. In which case, I think you have everything needed to confirm this experiment. So please let us know how that goes.
I will be doing that tomorrow. I will update you shortly.
Okay,
Awesome.
that's great. I just wanted to sort of invite quickly Sanjeev. I think you had certain comments, and I think Ashish has invited you to the group as well. So Sanjeev, you would like to introduce yourself and possibly just give us a quick update about yourself as well.
Okay, so I have a small company. We make medical devices. We specialize in disinfection equipment. And yeah, Ashish invited me into this. I was just looking at whether I could provide some input into what you people are doing. And naturally, you will find a lot of problems sourcing many of these things because one, the markets are closed. And two, there is demand for many of the items that you are looking for. So somebody was talking about a flow meter. You may need to buy it in bulk, which is not necessary, because you can have a very simple valve with a simple output checking for the flow, because the flow is measured by pressure. So there's a ball which is going up, which tells the amount of pressure which is going out, which tells you the liter per minute flow. So you don't need to buy a whole flow meter for it. There can be a simple 3D printed encapsulated piece in which there's a small ball which is moving through the pressure. So if you compare it to a normal oxygen flow meter and you compare it to what the device that you have designed, you may need a 1 inch or a 2 inch device to be attached to your oxygen generator. You don't need the whole oxygen flow meter, because that is a huge device. It's made of brass and it is meant to be very hard and fixed to cylinders. It is basically not meant for a small device. So if you look at an oxygen concentrator, it has got a very small flow meter. You can just copy that thing, and it is very easy to make. You don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Maybe you will have to work with a lathe person. I can send a small design for it, and that will resolve the issue. And it should cost more than 100 rupees or 150 rupees.
Okay, Sanjeev, what we will do is, that's great. Thank you for the introduction. Welcome to the daily catch up. And of course, all kinds of help is appreciated over here. So maybe Sanjeev, I could add you to the engineering group. And if that could be a way to sort of communicate and share your designs, that'll be really fantastic. So maybe we'll have some more insights from you in the next coming days as well.
One quick question to Mr. Sanjeev. Mr. Sanjeev, so I was developing something similar with a pressure sensor and the diameter, the ID of the pipe which is being used to calculate the flow rate. Can you just help us out with the formula? I mean, like the equation to basically like do that calculation?
So you are attaching the pressure sensor to a tube, which is measuring the flow.
Yeah, it's so I have a like a flow. I mean, like a pressure sensor. I yet to mill like a casing for it. So inline flow rate based on the pressure and the ID of the pipe.
Yeah. So basically, that is how you do it. You attach a pressure sensor to the flow movement where the air is going to flow. And I don't know what kind of pressure sensor you have. You may be having generic product, or you'll have to tell me about the kind of pressure sensor you have.
I think we can discuss it on the engineering group later on.
Yeah, but the problem is you will not be able to lay your hands on pressure sensors easily. So you're adding extra electronics, and you can have a very simple device to check how much oxygen is flowing out. You don't really need, electronics into it. Because if you build a pressure sensor into your device, you're taking an input, and maybe you'll need a digital display to tell you, this is the amount of oxygen going out, which may make it a little bit more costlier than required. Pressure sensors are a little expensive. I don't know how much you paid for it, but I am okay with the idea. Please go ahead. I mean, the reason I have joined this group is to look and see where I can remove, your dependencies on external markets given the present condition, where you may not be able to lay hands on things which are not out there, and maybe a simple design may resolve that issue. So.
No, that's fantastic. I think that input would be great. And I think maybe Anul, you have something to add to that right now?
Yeah, just a point. I think there is not quite a lot of merit in what Sanjeev said. The point of using electronic sensors it looks lucrative, but at the end of the day, the more electronics you add, the more things become kind of difficult. I think a mechanical solution is the best of this. Rotameters have been around for a very, very long time. They are pretty simple devices. The only trouble is for different media. I mean, they are calibrated for different media, and the tricky part in a rotameter is the tapered hole that is made in it, in which the ball bearing or the bob moves, because it's not a parallel hole in it; it's a tapered hole, and getting that right is the whole trick of the rotameter. So either that we can, if we can get hold of an existing rotameter and just replicate its dimensions, then, like he said, it can be 3D printed somehow, because it would also have to be transparent.
Can I? Yeah, you need to add a transparent bubble or.
Yeah, so that would be a bit of an issue, because in 3D printing, not very easy to get totally transparent. So essentially, rotameters are either acrylic or glass. Acrylic is kind of easier, but like I said, machining that tapered bore in the inside is the whole trick and art of it. So again, someone who has a lathe and access to any machining facilities should be not very difficult. I think if we can collectively come up with a design which consists of an input and an outlet and the tapered stuff inside and things like that, then we can possibly motivate some, engineering enterprise, factory, industry, whatever, to make them for us collectively.
Okay.
Because ideally, at the end of the day, this is one of the most important indications that this device requires. Is the oxygen flowing out or not? And if so, at what rate?
So, can I add for just a second?
Sure.
So, I don't think it's going to be difficult to make a device. It's just the input. Maybe it'll have a smaller bore where you increase the pressure and you have a place where, and that design can be shared with everybody. One person can validate it, that whether it is the exact flow that we are getting in this is equivalent to oxygen flow meter flow output. And once you have validated it, that same design can be shared with everybody, and that can be made by any lathe, wherever this is going to be made. Or maybe, as you said, collectively, it can be made by a manufacturer and given to everybody.
The other suggestion I have is oxygen isn't the only gas for which rotameters are made. Like for example, if in welding and so on, when they use oxyacetylene, besides oxygen, you have the other gas as well. So yep. If you can find rotameters calibrated for another gas, like let's say argon, then possibly just recalibrating it for oxygen should be a much more simpler exercise than making the whole thing. So maybe we should try and explore that opportunity as well.
So why I'm talking about this is the pressure volume that is coming out of the oxygen concentrator is very less compared to a cylinder.
Yeah, of course. That's true.
So these rotameters are designed to handle the very high pressure volume inside the cylinder. That's why they're so big and bulky. And
yeah, I think that is a pretty valid point.
Yeah, so, and that's why I said the oxygen concentrators which are available in the market, if you look at it, you can Google it and see it. They're very small, very petite. So, and they're very easy to make. So we need to focus on that. We don't have to focus on the rotameter because those, as I said, it's meant for big cylinders. which have, hundreds and hundreds of kg pressure coming out. This, I don't think our Oxy kit will give more than 1 kg or 2 kg. I don't know the pressure output. So for that, you don't need so much of, mechanical engineering.
Fair. What we can do is possibly take this discussion up in the engineering group, and I will add Ashish. Actually, you can also add Sanjeev to the group if you're part of it. So you can do that. I will just pass on the the last couple of updates to Abhi and then Vinod, and then call it an evening. Abhi, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi guys. So I think my concern is zeolite, as everybody else's concern is. So I think if we are dependent on imports, if we can't locally source it, should we put engineering effort on trying to figure out alternative ways of using other grain types? And maybe it's a little probably early, I don't know, but the concern is if there's hundreds or thousands of units to be made, and if we don't have an order yet, then it'll be like 2-3 weeks out easily to deliver, and then once it's delivered, distribute, build out, it's going to be like a month and a half before we have the bulk units out. So just working on the timing side, maybe it's worth if we can solve this in a week or so with other granules if possible. Just a thought.
So just on that, actually, Abhi, I think Vijay got off a call on the zeolites, and there are locally, in Bangalore, there are a few really advanced folks who are into this zeolite production and can do it in the next week as well, because they don't think that it's a big challenge to sort of do this granular level here at their facility as well. So it was a largish conversation. We'll have some updates from it. Hopefully, if that's the case, it's quite a positive that's coming in from that group of scientists and researchers around zeolites actually in Bangalore.
That's good news.
Yeah.
One last comment there is as we started the onboarding of the lab, folks obviously have questions around training material and YouTube videos and stuff like that. So, and this is more for Anul and other engineers. So we will ask them to start looking at the OxyKit original videos with a caution that there are some changes or discrepancies in those, which we will update because I think we are still waiting on our finalized design and then probably training videos. So I suspect we are at least 1 week out, and that initial video could give them a good idea, and then we can pivot to what the changes are. And that way we can complete that in a week, in a day or two after they have reviewed everything else. So let me know if you guys disagree or have other better opinions, but didn't want it to hold that larger crowd now that we have like 75 signups. We want to give them something so that they can start educating themselves.
Anul, is that fine for now?
Valid point. I think what we can start off immediately is, with some of the basics of the whole thing. I mean, especially stuff like how it works and what are the things to watch out for when you try building it. Those are things we can do right now, even if you don't have an actual OxyKit to show.
But Abhi, I think that's a great idea. Let's just possibly do level 1 with the OxyKit videos, and then level 2 with the what not to do, possibly, that video where Anul can come in, and then post that once we have a finalization, we can go to the next step. So yeah, I think that's a good starting point. Fair.
Sounds good. Thanks. That's all from me.
Okay.
Also, will each lab also be required to at least do the GitHub or Git 101? Because that's the way they'll be,
Yeah, we are trying. Yeah, so maybe I think Bhanu's on the call. Bhanu, maybe we can also schedule the Git 101 this week if you can take it.
Will do.
Yeah, okay. In the next couple of days, if we can do that, that'd be great. But we can start with the OxyKit videos and then sort of move one step at a time, because it is a large group, about 75 labs. And I think I agree with Abhi, we have to definitely get them going pretty quickly. Okay, fair. So last update from Vinod, if you could just close on it.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I just want to understand between the sodium and lithium zeolites, like whatever we found as part of the original oxykit, whether it is surely a sodium-based zeolite? Because I understand, as I understand, you might have received some kits from them.
We haven't, not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. Okay.
So, but they have sodium-based zeolite, is what I understand. Anul, correct me if I'm wrong.
So yeah, I mean, the main difference is lithium is more efficient. It absorbs nitrogen much more. So if you look at comparative specs between sodium X and 13X and LiX, lithium is a better adsorbent. Also, it is also, I think, about 3 or 4 times as expensive. So it's a cost benefit ratio over there. And I believe there is also a slight difference in how hygroscopic or how much they react to water. I'm not sure which one is better or worse, but I think these are the 3 things that separate one from the other. At this point for us, the cost is the biggest challenge.
Okay, I got it. And one more point which I want to put it, maybe related to engineering is, I saw some BOMs which which you are put with the moisture separator, as I understand, right?
Yeah.
But as I went through some material, actually, the moisture separator will be useful only when whatever the water vapor it is coming from the compressor, whatever is getting generated at the compressor, only that it can condense. But what they are telling, if you don't use a desiccant based dryer, your quality of your zeolite is going to go down very rapidly. That is what the manufacturer is saying.
Yes.
So the manufacturer is suggesting to add like a particular part of your original zeolite sieve bed, fill it with the desiccant separated by the zeolite. So the air first pass through the desiccant, then to the zeolite.
Yeah, that's valid. The trouble is desiccants, once they absorb moisture, you need to replace them. I mean, you also get reversible desiccants where you can just heat them and they release all the moisture and you can use them again. But doing anything like that requires that we do it outside of the sieves, because otherwise it's not convenient to keep opening the sieve every time. So we're looking at some of those options. It's still a subject that all of us are trying to wrap our heads around, of what is the easiest way of removing moisture from the air. The important point is, with a humid climate, moisture has an extremely strong effect on zeolites, and there have been some cases where new machines were tested. I mean, this is something I heard from Vijay, where new machines were made in the US and shipped to the to countries in Africa, and by the time they were switched on, the zeolite had already degraded because of moisture absorption. So this is going to be our biggest challenge, is in keeping the air that comes into the sieve dry. And we are working on it, but as of now, I still don't really have an answer of how exactly we will be able to achieve it.
Okay, like I found from some industrial models, they're using the same PSA technology, what we are using for oxygen separation. They are using the same 2 separate bits as desiccant dryer. Like they are just passing back the dried air so that it pushes out all the moisture air from the desiccant, and the desiccant itself is getting regenerated. Mostly it is aluminum based silicate something. That is the desiccant type, I guess.
I guess this conversation, maybe Anul, can be taken up on engineering again, I guess.
Yeah, because I missed a lot of that, but let's discuss this on Telegram. My connection keeps dropping off, so I can't hear all of the conversation going on here.
Yeah, sure. That's it from my side. And one last point regarding to zeolite, I am reaching out to a company in China, Zelon Zeolites.
Okay.
But currently what they are telling us, sample they may not be able to provide, but whatever is the minimum available, their package size, if they are able to provide, whether we'll be able to take it, like 25 kg or 100 kg package.
Can you post this in the sourcing group? And I think Praveen is sort of looking at some of the zeolite sourcing. So maybe we can connect on the sourcing group and get that sorted if we need to do that.
Yeah, I have done that already yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. Great. We'll check on that then.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Okay,
perfect. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to call it a night, and we'll catch up again, hopefully tomorrow, and see you all over there.
Richa, one last thing. Can you just grab the chat before you close this so that it's available later?
Yeah, just a moment.
There are links and stuff there which could be handy later.
Yeah, I've saved the chat.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, guys.